walk alone, fight your struggles, rise stronger with every setback, and unleash the kind of power only Luffy's spirit can ignite. In every journey, there comes a moment when the world turns its back on you. A moment when the people you trusted disappear, when your strength feels useless, when your dreams seem too far away to touch. That's the moment most people break, but not him. Luffy wasn't born with power. He wasn't born with status, or a name the world admired. He started as a boy who was too weak, too reckless, too soft-hearted. A boy who everyone thought would never make it. He faced a world ruled by monsters. Pirates with armies, marines with absolute power, warlords, emperors, opponents who could erase entire islands with a single attack. And still, he stood up. Not because he wasn't scared, but because he refused to let fear decide his future. Luffy walked a path most people would never dare to choose. A path filled with danger, loneliness, and battles that broke his body, but never his spirit. Because deep down, he made a promise. One day, no matter what it takes, I will reach the top. And that promise became the fire that pushed him forward, even when the world tried to crush him. There came a time when Luffy finally understood something painful. Strength isn't built in peaceful days. Strength is born in the moments that scar you. He learned it the hard way, when he watched his crew fall, when he couldn't save the people he cared about, when the weight of failure crushed him so deeply that even breathing felt impossible. For the first time, the boy who laughed at everything couldn't laugh anymore. He realized, if I stay the same, I'll lose everything. It was the moment the world expected him to give up. The moment they thought he'd accept defeat. Accept that he wasn't strong enough. Accept that his dream was too big for someone like him. But that's why Luffy is different. Most people fear changing. But he feared one thing more, not becoming the person his dream needed him to be. So he stood back up, broken, exhausted, but alive. And he made a choice that changed everything. I will not let this be my end. If I have to rebuild myself from scratch, I will. That realization, that willingness to grow, to struggle, to evolve is what separates losers from legends. There's something people never understood about Luffy. They saw the smile. They saw the jokes. They saw the carefree attitude. But they never saw the battles he fought inside his heart. Because behind every smile was a promise made to himself. A promise born the day he first put on that straw hat. No matter how many times I fall, I will rise higher. And that promise shaped every step he took. The journey of pain. There were days when his body couldn't move. Days when the wounds were deeper than anyone could see. Days when his dreams felt like nothing more than childish fantasies. But do you know what he did? He kept walking. One step, even if it hurt. One breath, even if his lungs were burning. One punch, even if his bones screamed in pain. Because he understood something simple. The world doesn't reward those who want it easy. It rewards those who endure. Luffy fought enemies that were born undefeatable. Men with reputations carved into the sea itself. Monsters feared by entire nations. Legends whose shadows covered the sky. But he never bowed his head. Not once. Because in his heart, he carried a dream bigger than fear. The weight of a dream. A dream isn't light. A dream isn't cute. A dream isn't something you hold for fun. A real dream is heavy. It breaks you. It isolates you. It destroys the weaker version of yourself. And Luffy understood that weight. Every time he saw someone suffer, every time he saw injustice, Every time his friends cried, the weight grew heavier. But instead of letting it crush him, he let it shape him. Because he wasn't chasing the title of Pirate King to prove he was the strongest. He chased it because being Pirate King meant reaching absolute freedom. Freedom to choose his path. Freedom to protect whoever he wants. Freedom to stand tall even when the world pushes him down. That's why he never stopped. Not when he was bleeding, not when he was drowning, not when he was losing, not even when the world itself told him, you cannot win. The power of trust. Luffy never needed powers that shook the seas. He needed something greater, people who believed in him. Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Usopp, Robin, Chopper, Frankie, Brook, Jinbei. He never saw them as followers. He saw them as family. And that's why he fought harder than anyone else. Not for glory, not for fame, not for himself. He fought because his dream was tied to theirs. Because their pain became his pain. Because their hopes became his responsibility. A real leader doesn't walk ahead so others can follow. A real leader walks in the storm so others can walk safely behind him. And that's exactly who Luffy became. The moment you break is not your end. Every person in life faces a breaking point. A moment where the struggle becomes too much. A moment where failure feels permanent. A moment where you question everything. Luffy faced his breaking point too. When he lost everything. When he couldn't save the one person he wanted to protect the most. When his entire world shattered. He screamed. He fell. He cried like a child. He tasted real despair for the first time. And in that moment, he learned the truth. Pain doesn't end you. Pain rebuilds you. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. And Luffy walked through flames that would have destroyed anyone else. But he didn't just survive, he evolved. He trained harder, pushed further, became a man worthy of the title he chased. The spirit that never breaks. What makes Luffy inspiring is not his power, not his devil fruit, not his victories. It's his heart. The heart that refuses to surrender. The heart that stands even when hope dies. The heart that believes in the impossible. The heart that laughs in the face of death. And still says, I will become the Pirate King. And that heart, that unbreakable will, that spirit that cannot be defeated, that's what turns dreams into reality. The message for you, if you are walking through darkness, if you feel alone, if you feel like life is pulling you down, then remember this. Heroes are not born. They are created in the moments when they choose to fight. They are created in silence, in suffering, in resilience. Just like Luffy, you don't need to be the strongest. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to be perfect. All you need is a heart that refuses to quit. Because the moment you stop giving up, the world loses its power to break you. Walk alone if you must. Fight alone if you must. Rise alone if you must. Because one day, just like Luffy, you will look back and realize that every lonely step was worth it. There comes a point in every great story where the hero is no longer just fighting enemies. He's fighting the world itself. For Luffy, that moment arrived the day he stepped into the New World. A sea where legends are born and the weak are forgotten. But here's the truth people ignore. Luffy didn't become a legend because he was strong. He became a legend because he refused to stay weak. He wasn't born special. He wasn't born with the power of a king. His devil fruit wasn't the strongest. His body wasn't invincible, but his will was. The world tried to crush him. The new world wasn't welcoming. It tested him, mocked him, challenged him. Enemies laughed at him, told him he was naive, told him his dream was childish, told him he would never stand at the top. Everywhere he went, someone stronger appeared, someone faster, someone deadlier, someone with more experience, someone with a reputation carved into history. Luffy had none of those things. But what he had was the courage to keep moving forward. And that was enough. The evolution of a captain. What separates Luffy from the rest is not that he leads people, but how he leads them. He doesn't command. He inspires. He doesn't demand loyalty. He earns it. He doesn't walk in front to show authority. He walks in front so his crew isn't the first to face danger. That is leadership. That is why people follow him, even when the journey is suicidal. When Zoro falls, Luffy stands for him. When Sanji breaks, Luffy waits for him. When Robin cries, Luffy screams for her freedom. When Usopp doubts himself, Luffy reminds him of his worth. When Nami is scared, Luffy tells her, "You're not alone." He doesn't save people, he gives them the strength to save themselves. That is the mark of a true king. His enemies were more than enemies. Every villain Luffy faced was not just a threat to his life, they were symbols. Crocodile, arrogance. Enel, God complex. Lucci, absolute justice. Moria, cowardice. Doflamingo, corruption. Kaido, hopelessness. Each one represented a force that keeps humanity on its knees. And Luffy, a boy with nothing but a straw hat and dreams, stood against all of them. Not because he wanted to be worshipped, not because he wanted to prove something, but because he refused to let tyranny decide what the world should be. The price of growth. People think growth is beautiful, but growth is painful. Luffy had to face betrayals. He had to face death. He had to face loss. He had to face moments where even he questioned if he was enough. He learned that strength isn't measured in muscle, it's measured in choices. The choice to stand back up, the choice to fight again, the choice to say, "I'm not done yet." Growth demands sacrifice, sleep, comfort, peace, sometimes even people. And Luffy paid that price every single day, without hesitation. The fire inside him, somewhere deep inside Luffy, burns a flame that never goes out. It doesn't matter how dark the night is. It doesn't matter how heavy the burden becomes. It doesn't matter how hopeless the future looks. He keeps going. Because he knows something simple, a dream, doesn't die unless you let it. And he refuses to let his dream die. Every punch he throws is a declaration. I will not back down. Every fall he takes is a lesson. I can rise again. Every tear is a reminder. I still care. Every victory is proof. My will is stronger than my fear. The message for you. Maybe you're fighting battles no one sees. Maybe you're carrying weights no one understands. Maybe you're walking paths no one joins you on. But hear this, your story is not over. You're in the part of the journey where the world tests you, where life tries to break you, where your dream feels too big and you feel too small. But that's exactly where legends are made. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to move forward, even with fear in your chest. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing to grow. You don't need to win today. You just need to refuse to quit. Because one day, after all the pain, after all the setbacks, after all the lonely nights, you will stand on a mountain built from every struggle you survived. And the world will look at you the way the seas look at Luffy, with respect, with awe, with admiration, because you didn't give up, because you kept walking, because you carried your dream like a king carries his crown. There is a moment in every warrior's life when they realize something powerful. No one is coming to save you. You must save yourself. Luffy learned this early. He wasn't waiting for miracles. He wasn't waiting for destiny. He wasn't waiting for someone to guide him. He carved his own path with his fists, his heart, and his unbreakable spirit. And that's what separates him from the thousands who dream, but never chase. The true meaning of freedom. People misunderstand Luffy's dream. They think Pirate King means treasure, fame, or power. But for him, it means freedom. Freedom to live without fear. Freedom to make your own choices. Freedom to protect what matters. Freedom to stand tall even when the world tells you to kneel. Luffy isn't chasing gold. He's chasing a life where no one controls him. And that's what all of us want, isn't it? Not the crown, not the throne, not the glory, but the freedom to say, this is my life, and I will live it my way. Luffy reminds us that freedom is not given, it is earned. Through effort, through sacrifice, through refusing to be the version of yourself that the world wants you to be. The responsibility of a dream becomes real the moment you take responsibility for it. Luffy didn't wait for the world to recognize him. He didn't wait for approval. He didn't wait until he was strong. He started when he was weak. He started when he was alone. He started when he had nothing. Why? Because he understood. A dream doesn't grow by waiting. It grows by doing. That's the mistake most people make. They wait for the right moment. Luffy didn't wait. He acted. He moved. He took risks. And every risk he took forced him to grow. A dream becomes real when you decide to carry it, even when your legs tremble. The loneliness of the top. Everyone wants success, but very few understand how lonely the path actually is. There were nights when Luffy sat quietly under the stars, thinking about the friends he lost, thinking about the people he couldn't save, thinking about the weight of the journey ahead. Being a leader is lonely. Being a dreamer is lonely. Being someone who refuses to give up is lonely. But that loneliness is the birthplace of greatness. Because when you walk alone, you discover your real strength. Luffy embraced that loneliness. He didn't run from it. He accepted it because he knew it was the price of growth. And you must accept it too. Not everyone will understand your dream. Not everyone will support you. Not everyone will join your journey. But the fewer people who walk with you, the more you learn to walk with courage. The moment you become unstoppable. Do you know when a person becomes truly unstoppable? Not when they become strong. Not when they stop feeling pain. Not when they stop being afraid. A person becomes unstoppable the moment they decide, I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to win. And that's exactly the decision Luffy made. He didn't care about odds. He didn't care about limits. He didn't care about how impossible his dream looked. All he cared about was moving forward, step by step, inch by inch, day by day. That kind of determination, that stubborn, relentless, fearless determination is what turns ordinary people into legends the world never forgets. The lesson for you, your life won't change in one day. Your dream won't appear magically. Your battles won't suddenly disappear. But if you keep going, even when your heart hurts, even when your hands shake, even when your world collapses, you will rise. Slowly, steadily, powerfully. Just like Luffy, you don't need to see the entire future. You just need to see the next step. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to refuse to bow. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to hold on to that tiny spark inside you that whispers, I can become more.